Coming into the last PGR-eligible major of the season, players from around the world were looking to make a statement at Battle of BC 4, and statements were absolutely made. There were upsets, bracket runs from hometown heroes, and a clash between 3 continents. We'll take you through it all in our Battle of BC 4 recap. Ken was known as a Sonic player throughout most of Ultimate's lifespan. He made it to 16th in the world with the character on the PGR V2, but recently he had been running into rough matchups. Despite his early meta successes, he didn't make waves post-lockdown in the way players like Atoria, Yoshidora, Akola, Ajimo, and others have. The Experimental Smash Player Rankings, a point-based Japanese Smash ranking covering October of 2021 through March of 2022, ranked Ken as the 12th best player in Japan during that span. But, if you were paying close attention, there were rumblings in the background. A Sephiroth lurking in the wings that started picking up wins on Shuton, Jigaimo, and Lai, all players who pilot characters that Ken didn't want to play as Sonic. It all came together this weekend. Ken used Sonic to upset Riddles on the doorstop of top 8, but after that, it was all Sephiroth. He beat Shuton in an unbelievable set with the read of the year, betting the farm on last stock Game 5 with a jump from ledge into a counter that called out Shuton's forward air and put Ken into winners finals. Up next was T, a player whom Ken had lost to in his last 3 offline sets and a player who was coming directly off of a win against Gluttony, but it didn't matter in winners finals. After a tactical SD in Game 1, Ken throttled T, only losing to him on Final Destination in Game 3. Ken played masterfully in his winner's final set, maximizing Sephiroth's tools and evaporating T's stocks. T never lived past 155%, and Ken completely walled out the options that T wanted to use without keeping himself too far away from Pac-Man so that T would have time to set up. The grand final set was closer, but Ken kept mistakes at a minimum and was able to beat T's Kazuya on Final Destination in Game 5 to take the tournament. Also, a little fun fact for you guys, this is the first time a player with the tag Ken has won a Smash Bros. Major on North American soil since, well, you guessed it, Ken in 2007 at EVO. Ken was already a significant PGR contender with strong performances at Pound and a bevy of Japanese tournaments, but this last-second win was the perfect bow on the top of a strong season. Canadian players have faced a particularly difficult time traveling to the United States for tournaments in recent years. The Canadian Ultimate scene finally got a chance to come together and show off their stuff at Battle of BC. The last Canadian major was more than 3 years ago at Get On My Level 2019. And since then, Canada has leveled up big time. Of the players that finished in the top 48, 8 were Canadians who finished with a seed performance rating of at least +2, meaning that they made it at least 2 more rounds farther in losers bracket than they were projected to. They held it down against foreign invaders and even against some of their own. Samus player RJ beat Mystery Soul, the Incineroar player from the Pacific Northwest, in a run that ended at 33rd. Fellow Ontario player and Falco main Blanc was able to break a 2-2 tie against his fellow Eastern Canadian Grape, facilitating a run to 25th. Supergirl Kells was able to beat Dark Wizzy in a 5-game set and finished 17th. This is Supergirl Kells' best finish at a major in Ultimate's lifetime after being ranked 100th on the final all-time PGR for Smash 4. Kells' previous best Ultimate result at a PGR S or A tier equivalent was at 65th, attained 4 times dating back to Frostbite 2019. Hailing from the isolated Alberta scene, ZSS main Exodia is one of Canada's best-kept secrets. This was just his second offline event ever of at least 400 players, and he followed up his 5th place finish at a much less stacked Battle of BC 3 years ago with an arguably more impressive run, defeating Larry Lur, Black Twins, and Blanc on a run to 13th after being seeded at just 38th. British Columbia's own Mario main, Spam Cop, got wins over Mystery Soul, Andres FN, and Pelly, taking down invaders from 3 different countries before being stopped by ESAM at 13th. Spam Cop's +3 seed performance rating tied with Blanc, Exodia, and T for the 3rd highest of the top 128 finishers, as he had one of the biggest breakouts of the event. Riddles, while technically underperforming his seed of 3rd, absolutely battled his way to 4th, taking down Big D and Kodra in winners before falling to Ken. Then, he put it into top gear and took down Base Mage and Siski in tense 5-game sets before absolutely rocking the best player in Europe, and one of the best players in the world, Gluttony. The difference between the Gluttony and the Siski sets is stark. As against Siski, Riddles won a game as Terry, Kazuya, and his original ultimate main, Richter, whereas versus Gluttony, he stuck with Terry the whole time. Between Pound, Collision, and now Battle of BC4, Riddles might be developing a bit of a 4th place curse, but not all 4th place finishes are made equal. And even though Riddles may have been looking for an even deeper run, this was one to remember, with wins over matchup demons and top players alike. The breakout star of the tournament, though, had to be Ouch, who before this weekend was mostly known as the guy who made it to number 47 of Orion rank without attending a single major, causing absolutely no controversy. But players paying attention to the Canadian Smash scene have known that Ouch was a menace for a long time, even before he won Pinnacle 2021 of last year. He came into Battle of BC seeded 17th, and after losing to Larry Lurr in the round of 64, he went on the most impressive losers run of the year. He only lost 4 games in 5 sets before top 8, taking down Black Twins, Ludo, Hads, Big D, and MVD to make top 8 at his first major of this level since lockdown. Had he bowed out there with a seed performance rating of +3, it would have marked the end to an amazing run for a Canadian hero, with 2 Canadians in top 8 along with 2 Europeans and 4 Japanese players. But Ouch wasn't done yet. He beat Coney 3-1 and then denied Shuton a reverse 3-0 with this sequence that almost killed both commentators. You know the one.
Oh my god, Rod! I thought it was over!
This set up a meeting with Riddles, the King of Canada, hot off of his win over Gluttony. Riddles won games 1 and 2. Ouch pulled it together to win game 3, but his chances to take the set were still low. He had to beat Kazuya on Final Destination, one of the scariest combinations in the game, in game 4. Then, even if he could get past that, waiting for him was Terry on Town and City, a sight almost as terrifying. And yet, 2 games later, Ouch became the last Canadian standing. Ouch's run would end with a loss to T on an electric run of his own, where Ouch would find out the true terror that is Kazuya on Final Destination. And Kazuya on any stage, really. T was able to perform magic and make Ouch's stocks disappear like it was nothing on his way back to Grand Finals, but Ouch had already made his mark. He was the strongest Canadian at Battle of BC4 and showed everyone who doubted his Orion rank placing that he deserved it and more. Of the players chasing for PGR spots that were boosted by Battle of BC, Ouch was by far the one that benefited most from his run. But wait just a little bit. Let's go back for a second. Did you catch that? 2 Canadians, 2 Europeans, and 4 Japanese players in top 8. That means no American players, and no Mexican players either. Although neither MK Leo, Spargo, nor Meister were in attendance, in a top 8 of a North American major for the first time in Ultimate's lifespan. So, what happened? How did we get a North American Smash Ultimate major with no US representatives in top 8? Of the top 20 seeds, 7 were from the United States and 1 was from Mexico. 3 of those players, Chag, ESAM, and Cosmos, were all seeded to make top 8. With Aaron's last second DQ, that left 6 Americans, but all of them came up just short of top 8. International Man of Mystery Larry Lurr was seeded 16th and picked up a good win over 3rd place finisher Ouch, a win which looks even better in retrospect. But Larry had an unfortunately early meeting with Gluttony in the winner's round of 16, and following that he would immediately fall to the upstart Exodia for 17th place. Fellow Spacey main Tilde had a very similar run. Seeded 12th, he picked up a solid win over Spanish Shoto Andres FN, but fell to T and Base Mage to finish 17th. All 4 9th place finishers were from the States, with 13th seed MVD and 15th seed Base Mage joining the aforementioned Cosmos and ESAM at 9th place. MVD was the only American left standing on the winner's side of bracket coming into day 3 after picking up one of Saturday's biggest upsets with a win over Chag. He was agonizingly close to keeping it going, but couldn't lock it down in a 5-game slugfest against Pac-Man T. Then, he ran into the nigh unstoppable Ouch in losers, keeping MVD on the outside of top 8 looking in despite a +1 SPR. Cosmos beat the Canadian Greninja JW to set up a date with Coney, but looked outmatched against Japan's top Shulk, falling 3-0. In losers, he held serve against Justice and Exodia, but lost in 5 games to Siski, a significant twist of fate from their last meeting, which Cosmos won 3-0 at the Smash World Tour Championship back in December. This was Cosmos' second 9th place finish in just 3 events, as he's still looking for his first top 8 appearance since his Glitch Infinite win in February of 2022. Siski remained a roadblock for the American top players, as ESAM also lost to the Spanish Samus in what has become a problem matchup for him. He went me brawler in games 1 and 3 and actually won game 1, his only win of the set with me Sam. Siski used Samus up B out of shield a whopping 40 times in the 4-game set, including an unbelievable 17 up Bs out of shield in game 1. A game that only lasted 3.5 minutes. That worked out for ESAM though, as he was able to punish one of Siski's whiffs for the first stock before taking the first game. But Siski didn't let the nerves get to him, as he held back using just 23 up Bs over the next 3 games as he barred down to take the set. The reason for this is pretty simple. ESAM played Brawler in Game 1 and Game 3, and Brawler's best neutral tool is Falling Nair. Despite its combo potential, relative safety, and long-lasting hitbox, it's not safe enough or long-range enough to contend with Samus up B. But knowing this, ESAM was able to bait a few whiffs, which he punished hard. In the 2 Brawler games, Siski used 17 and 12 up Bs out of shield respectively, and in games 2 and 4, when ESAM played Pikachu, those numbers dropped to 6 and 5 respectively, as Siski recognized that he wouldn't have as many punish opportunities with Pikachu's safer toolkit and the ability to zone with Thunder Jolt. This is also because of the stage choice, as games 2 and 4 were played on Final Destination and Town and City, flatter stages without platforms that Samus can escape to if Siski whiffs up B. ESAM's punish game is arguably the strongest aspect of his gameplay, and for Siski to come out on top, he had to strike a difficult balance. He needed Samus's up B to get damage and stocks when possible, but had to find the spots to use it without serving up easy punish opportunities against one of the scariest players in the world. Siski expertly adapted his game plan to the stages and characters ESAM presented him with, helping him to punch his ticket into top 8 in the process. After the set versus Siski, ESAM took out Moxie and Spamcop. Despite a set full of 4 intensely close games, he fell to Coney for 9th, and is now finished outside of the top 8 at 4 of his 5 major tournaments since his Glitch 8.5 win in September of 2021. Base Mage was seeded 15th and finished 9th, good for a +1 SPR. That number undersells just how difficult his run was, though. After falling to Pelly 3-1, Base Mage beat RJ, Pokepen, Tilde, and Chag in losers, only losing to Riddles in a Game 5 set that went to the very last hit. At the last PGR Major of the season, Base Mage stepped up, even if he couldn't quite deliver a top 8 spot for the United States. Now, we wait, right? There are majors on the docket for this month, but the PGR season is now over and the first PGR since 2019 is going to be released. This season has been chaotic and we should look back on the things that happened. Just kidding. There's no time for peaceful retrospection. While we're crunching the numbers for the upcoming PGR UV3, the Summer of Smash is still going full tilt. There are a whopping 6 majors in the next 4 weeks to kick off the new PGRU Season 4. Heck, we didn't even have time to look over all of the things that happened in this tournament. There were multiple pop-offs that land in the Pop-Off Hall of Fame, including one that broke T's glasses so hard he had to rebuild them between sets. A win for Sephiroth that means every Fighter's Past 2 character has now won a major in the past year, and Hungrybox finished 3rd in Melee and commentated top 6 of Ultimate at the same major. As the weather gets hotter, the sun is out for longer, and school is out for the summer, Smashers are doing what they do best, playing video games with reckless abandon. Subscribe to PGstats to stick with us as we update you about it every step of the way. Thanks for watching. My name's Last, and you can check me out on Twitter at L4ST_V1. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.